Welcome, everyone. My name is Darren Beckett. I am the CXO at Element Longevity, and I'm super excited to be here with you all today. In this webinar, we will be discussing the powerful health topic known as gut health. We all know this, and the novel science that is transforming the industry and new personalized solutions that are focused on restoring balance to the gut microbiome and its effects on foundational health outcomes. We'll also be discussing our newest feature, Element 1 LLM, which combines the power of agentic AI to support you and your patients in organizing, analyzing, and creating action plans that rebuild their gut microbiome from the ground up and offer you, the practitioner, insights into why their challenges may exist. All right. And now before we begin, I'd like us all to take a moment and think about the most common health challenges that you or your patients experience. Maybe you were already thinking about someone as you joined today. Is it something chronic, something acute? Is it something that you just haven't been able to figure out? And now let's imagine that the symptomology of that challenge was reduced by, say, 5%, 15%, maybe even 50%. How would that change the outcome for you and your patients and support future outcomes that you really just haven't been able to get to? Maybe it's a digestion challenge that changes with different types of foods, or a health symptom like respiratory challenges that come and go at odd times. Maybe it's a weight challenge that doesn't seem to normalize, or sleep patterns that aren't supportive of quality of life. We have all learned that the gut microbiome is analogous to, say, a pharmacy. And when it is in harmony and thriving, the body is able to not only function at a higher capacity, think energy, recovery, stamina, but its ability to provide life-giving nutrients to more than just critical functions. This is drastically increased. And you may know this already, but the gut microbiome supports every bodily function, including the brain, skin, kidneys, heart, lungs, et cetera, right? It's really critical to human life. And gut microbiome protocols today last months and even years. Detoxes, multiple products, very difficult symptomology, lots of pivoting, complicated healing processes, right? We've all witnessed these types of experiences, whether it be in our own lives, the lives of family members, the lives of friends, or the lives of patients that we see every day. So in this webinar, you will gain insights from the latest research and development and products that actually have been shown to decrease symptomology and improve gut function within just a few weeks, and lasting results that changes lives. Excuse me. Today, I've got with me Adam Banning, who is our lead sales, and Dr. Cora, who's working with us on compliance. She's also got her own practice in Chicago. With that being said, let's begin. So really, when we're thinking about gut health and we're thinking about the gut microbiome, we're thinking about not only what's going on within the enclosed space that we call the gut microbiome, but we're really talking about the lifestyle of the individual, the lifestyle of patients, what is going on a daily basis, and what are we trying to solve for? And often, as a practitioner, when you're helping your patients, you are the intelligent person, you're the one who's educated, and you're guiding them and having to spend lots of time analyzing different types of biomarkers, different types of understanding and nutrition, right? And this can be slightly confusing. And so really what we try to accomplish here is to not see things in silos, but to be able to broaden our perspective, our scope of health around our patients, around ourselves, and then to glean a very simple action plan that supports us in moving forward. And so I'd like to welcome you to the age of personalized health. This isn't anything new. I'm sure you're seeing this in everywhere you look. The health world is changing drastically. And I want to take a step back here and very briefly explore where Element Longevity is going. what is the importance of not only gut health, but the importance of using modern technology to support both ourselves and our patients' health. So if you haven't done it already, your patients are already doing this. They're taking their gut health tests, they're taking their blood tests, they're taking their DNA tests, and they're inputting them into LLMs, whether it's ChatGPT, Gemini, or these other experiences. And the information that they're getting may be in conflict with what you're trying to offer them, whether it's a personal pathway or the experience of looking at specifics in diagnostics. And so what we are building here is an agentic platform. Agentic simply means guided, right? So a guided platform that supports you in understanding where your patients are at, both in their lifestyle and their test data, and allows you to then simplify the process of getting them to feel better quicker. All right, now I'm going to pass it to Adam Banning, who's going to talk a little bit about the science behind what we're doing. Adam, go ahead and unmute yourself, brother.
All right,
there you go.
There we go. So how are you doing? This is Adam Banning. I have 30 years of experience in sales and lecturing to doctors. Actually, I was one of the main people who facilitated and lectured the follow-up day of clinical application for Dr. Jeffrey Bland, who's considered the father of functional medicine. So this is really exciting to me. There were a group of researchers at Sanford Burnham Prebs, which is in Encinitas. It's, if you know the area, it's northern San Diego. And they were searching for new ways to understand this very complex issue. I mean, we're dealing with literally billions and billions and billions of organisms. So being able to understand this very complex situation was something they were looking for. They wanted to understand the connection between these over-dominant unhealthy species and how they suppress the beneficial species which are in there. But in the research, they discovered something totally unexpected. And they found out that 99.9%, I love science, we're very specific, 99.9% of people fall into 4 gut ecosystem types. And this allows us to be able to understand specificity and patient-centeredness to a much greater degree. Each type showed specific distinct microbial imbalances, okay? Their over-dominant species suppress beneficial ones and how that happens. And the restoration of diversity. Diversity is the big thing we're looking for here because they showed that it improved digestion, energy, and mood. All of those connections with different parts of the body that Darren brought up during his introduction here. And balancing the gut really helps out a great deal. Now, this is interesting. I'm sure many of you people out there are asking the question, why did your probiotic protocol work so well for Jim and John and Mr. Jones, but didn't work so well for, Anna and Bob? Okay, what is the difference there? And maybe the difference in regards to this, well, the metaphor would be your soil. Okay, your gut microbiome is a garden. And when it comes down to this, healthy garden starts with rich, balanced soil. That's your gut lining, the pH, and also the good bacteria within the gut, the overall biome. If the soil is depleted, like if you're a farmer or a gardener, if your soil is depleted, then guess what? It becomes harder and harder to produce good food from that soil. In this case, good microbes to thrive. So our goal is to be able to restore this. And it's really interesting. A couple things come up here. First of all, when it comes to the idea of prebiotics, prebiotics are mostly thought of within the industry right now as different fibers to feed good organisms. But there's much more specificity than just throwing a bunch of IMO or FOS at a person. And we recognize that within the field when it came down to things like FOS. Half of the people ended up getting gas afterwards, okay? Because it wasn't specific. So we need specific food for specific good bacteria. In addition to that, we also need to be able to have certain types of nutrients to feed the gut lining as well. So these prebiotics to feed this type of scenario are also not just feeding good bacteria, but feeding the gastrointestinal lining for one of those 4 different subsets of individuals that they discovered within the research from Sanford Burnham Prebs. In addition to that, we also found out that there are other issues that are needing to be approached as well. And those issues are the concept of diversity and the concept of human strain. Let's get into this, okay? What they found out, once again, in their research is we need greater diversity. Oftentimes, you'll find with these scenarios, these 4 different scenarios that they broke them down into, that there is an underserviced population, which tends to be healthy bacteria, and there's an overserviced or overfed population, which tends to be unhealthy bacteria. And by increasing diversity, we found such great results in everything from gastrointestinal to brain function. Okay, so diversity is really big here, and that's what we're all about here. We're not, as you might say within farming, we're not a monoculture type of company out there. Just take this and it fixes it all. Okay, the second thing, which is really interesting, and it actually has to do with the stickiness of the actual strain, is that it's an actual human strain. The vast majority of organisms on the marketplace are not human strains, and we're asking them to be able to stick, adhere, colonize, and grow inside of a genus and species, a specific species such as human beings, when they're actually not from human sourcing. So it's very, very hard. So we want to be able to make sure we focus on diversity and human strain, and that's what we're doing at Element Longevity.
Thanks, Adam. Yeah, it's such an important topic, gut health, right? And the invention of new sciences is happening all the time. And so what I want to elaborate on next is what we're doing as a base foundation at Element. And so we call it the Element 1 Gut Balance Protocol. And this is going to be an immersion of prebiotics and human native probiotics that are going to help your clients, help your patients, and even help yourself if you have these challenges, to support a healthy diversity and the proliferation of great beneficial strains, in a very, very consistent, simple, and guided manner. And so a couple of highlights here as we dive into more of the nutrition side of what we're doing at Element Longevity is these clinically validated formulations that are guided by our Element 1 LLM, as well as the gut stool sample, which restore microbial balance through targeted support. And you can do this at under $4 a day, which is really a phenomenal way to look at the gut health and not trying to do all the gimmicky stuff and the stuff at Snake Oil. This is really grounded in research that has proven time and time again for both ourselves and our clients, and the research that is being done that really can help people to symptomatically reduce their challenges in a daily basis. And so, we're looking at key strain renewal, as Adam said. It's low risk, high reward, meaning Bifidobacterium adolescentis, which we'll go through here in a second, our novel human native strain, is able to support symptomology very easily, very productively with a low risk. Precision prebiotics for a strong gut foundation. As Adam said, it's really important that we look at the quote unquote fertilizer of the gut microbiome. What is feeding the beneficial microbes? What is starving overabundant microbes? And also the adapted insights that you're going to gain from both our intake process as well as stool testing. That's going to give you the upper hand in both understanding why patients are having these challenges as well as finding great solutions. And so I'm going to go through each piece here really quickly on, the kind of foundations of how this protocol works. First and foremost, we see precision prebiotics as the staple, the grounding, the foundation level for all gut health. Often, as Adam has said, we're looking at, trying to increase microbial production in a beneficial way. And it's very challenging because microbes, they only thrive when the soil beneath them is nutritious enough for them to both have staying power as well as proliferation power. And also, this cool kind of understanding of the gut ecosystem as one that builds a community that is also beneficial. So we're finding that beneficial microbes support other types of beneficial microbes, and they like to stick together because of the advancement of being able to be in a healthy environment. And so the way that we do this is, first we have to identify nutrition gaps. And so we can do this through either a quiz or a test, right? A test gives you 100% of capability to understand what those nutrition gaps are. We match the customer to the right formula. Then we feed that formula consistently for about 3 months. We find that is the most consistent amount of time. People start feeling better right away, but to really have that staying power, you're going to want your patients to be on this for 3 months. And that restores balance and energy. Now, we use these kind of vague terms: balance, energy, stamina, resilience, right? But what I'm saying is, as you probably already have recognized in your own practice, that gut health affects almost everything else in human health. And so if you are trying to say, get past gut health challenges in order to help that patient with that next thing, right? You're not able to get to that place until the gut health foundation is built. And so, experiencing patients who are having challenges and the symptoms are pivoting, or we're trying individual nutrients and we're trying to get them to feel better, right? Feeling better is really the first stop on the train towards health success. And so precision prebiotics are really that wonderful way to build that foundation. On the other light, human native strains like this B. adolescentis, Bifidobacterium adolescentis, which is often considered the missing microbe in the human gut microbiome. If we think about microbes and we think about just the myriad ways that microbes also perish, and the challenges that we face as modern humans, I'm sure I could spend another hour just talking about the different types of challenges that we face and how those affect. But let's think of the common ones, right? Stress. Let's think of processed foods. Preservatives that really don't do the microbial universe in our gut microbiome a service. And so when we start to add human native strains like the adolescentis, which are incredibly well clinically studied, to restore other key microbes, aid in digestion, reduce bloating and gut sensitivity, right? This starts to build the universe around. We can start to add or subtract other types of modalities that maybe you're already well versed in, whether that be, hey, I want to support my client in doing a detox for parasites, or I'd like to, get them working on, some other types of nutrition implementation, but I just can't get there because they can't muster certain foods, right? So this ability to combine precision prebiotics and these human native strains that have both a general and very acute effect on symptomology helps your patients to get to that next level so that you can start focusing on the things that is going to make an even bigger difference in their lives. And then really quickly about gut microbiome functional testing. And so if we think about the gut microbiome testing world, the advances that it's currently in, whether that be 16S or shotgun genomics, looking at taxonomy, looking at community of microbes, what are they doing? And what we've done is we've said, okay, how can we provide what is necessary to not only get to those nutritional gaps, but also to facilitate other types of information that you may have learned in your education and or want to learn about the gut microbiome and the biomarkers that support your next indicated action. And so in the next couple of slides, I'll be going over a little bit more of the back end, but these three pieces: deep insights, personalized nutrition, and human native microbes, make a fantastic trio in which you can create foundational gut health for your clients to support them, far into the future. And so we've also developed and are continuing to develop our intelligent gut microbiome health platform, which we call Element One. And so, if we think about what our clients are going through on a daily basis, their lifestyle, right? If you could understand a little bit more about what their daily life looks like over time, how would that affect your ability to help your patients further? And so if you think of this trio of gut health concepts: deep insights, personalized nutrition, human native microbes, right? And you can see that into a platform in which you can ask questions, your clients, your patients, your customers, they can ask questions. And it's all being guided by an organized system that has been vetted and critically looked at by gut health researchers, scientists, and also lifestyle data. That's element one. And so what we're building here in its first entirety is really the ability to answer a few questions, understand where the nutritional gaps may be, order a gut microbiome test for the customer if it's necessary to get to that 100%, right? And be able to help them right away, help them to be consistent, because the last thing that anyone wants is, okay, we've got to wait months to get to where you want to go. It's the last thing patients want to hear. Oh, it's going to take years to change this. Oh, it's going to be a lot of work. I have to track all my diet, and how often do clients actually give you the real information that is going to help you help them better? And so we're developing this platform here, which you'll have first access to, and the ability to have your own logo, your own colors. So that way it's a seamless integration into your own practice. You don't have to be a doctor to use this platform. You can be a personal trainer, you could be a physical therapist, right? If you're helping humans, right? Every human has a gut microbiome that probably needs support, right? You're going to be able to use this platform to support your customers and your patients deeper. Right, so let's make this really simple. How do patients get their personalized plan? Okay, so you've worked with us to develop your own personalized pro account. You've got your logo, your colors, and now you've got a link QR code that you can send to your patients directly. They're going to, and you're going to help them discern, is it a quiz or is it a stool test that's needed, right? Quiz takes about 30 seconds to complete. Stool test takes about a month to receive the results back. Either way, you're going to want to determine the best use case for your customer here. Then you're going to get an AI snapshot. And when I say AI, it's not hallucinating. It is very, very guided principles and guided results and guided plans that are based off of science to support your customers further. And like we said earlier, what Adam was talking about, we really understood that there are, 99.9% of people fall into one of these four ecosystems, these gut ecosystems. We call them core, mind, immune, and repair. That's based off of the gut axes that they are mainly focused around. But for you and your patients and your customers, it's really about giving them the tools to say, here's what the next 3 months looks like, okay? It's really important that you stay consistent, that you take your solutions every single day. We're going to help you do that. And it's also important that maybe you're logging information along the way. Hey, week 1, my symptoms are the same. Or week 1, my symptoms have changed. My lifestyle has changed. And so at the end of this 3-month container, not only is the patient going to be feeling like they're in a much better place, but you're going to feel like you have what you need to say, oh, that's how that happened. That's why that happened. And now let's look at how we can make it even more consistent in your life. Make the changes that you really came to me for. Let's now start to tackle those. And then most importantly, right, you're supporting your patients and you get paid. And so, right, this very simple 1, 2, 3 is going to help you and your patients feel much better about understanding where the gut health industry is at and how you can be a part of it to support your patients deeper. All right, so let's get started. So if this interests you and you think that this would be a really great use case for your practice and or your clientele, your network, right? You're going to connect with us after this webinar. You can, we're going to put our email in the chat. And at the very end of this presentation, you'll find my email at the end, darren@elementlongevity.com. And we'll work with you to better understand your practice, where you're at, and where you want to go using this process. You're going to identify patients that you feel would benefit most. Like I said in the very beginning, we all know people who have gut health challenges. Everyone on this call has had a gut health challenge or is still experiencing gut health challenges that they're working through over time, right? And so identifying the patients that are going to have the biggest impacts is your first step. You're going to have them create an account through your pro account portal and fill out the assessment and or take a stool test. Patients are going to pay Element Longevity using your special link at $349. That is a 3-month protocol. So that includes 3 months worth of, so that's 90 days worth of the Precision Prebiotic. It comes in a little packet that you put into a water bottle, or 8 to 10 ounces of water. You shake it up and drink it. The timing on that is really dependent on the client and how they would like to take it. It's really about consistency. We want to be able to get the nutrients from those formulas into the patient's gut consistently over 3 months. At the same time, they're also going to continue and start taking the Bifidobacterium adolescentis human native probiotic, which has a number of symptom reducing effects. But it's also just a really great microbe that we should all have in our gut microbiomes. And this microbe pairs very well with the Precision Prebiotics. It's a very great pairing. And so this 3-month protocol, you are either going to add a stool test or not. In the back end, like I showed you earlier, you're going to be able to see all of the data that comes from that test right then and there. We've also got research articles that are implemented into that testing. And so you'll be able to use our Element One Gut AI to do your own research on what you're seeing in the test, help you better understand what you're seeing. And then also additionally, the benefit of this all, you're going to get 25% of every cell, and we pay those out monthly. If you know of other practitioners or other people that you feel like would really benefit from this protocol, we also can talk about deeper partnerships. Also, we do offer B. adolescentis at a wholesale rate. So if it's something that you're considering to have in your practice, or know that you have clients that could really see benefits from just B. adolescentis and you want to be able to offer that in-house, right? We're more than happy to talk about wholesale offerings with that. And right over here, Dr. Cora is about to talk, but we've got her pro account portal right here. Right Family Sports and Spine and Sports Medicine. You can see she's got her colors here, really just aligned just for her. And so, right, the proof is in the pudding. We've been at this for a couple of years now, and really the changes that we're seeing in our customers and the practitioners who are offering this to their patients is really quite astounding. 3 testimonials really can't describe the amount of praise that is coming from the ability to support, people in their health journey, because as you know, the gut microbiome world is changing rapidly, but we're also getting a reset on what we know and what we understand. And being able to help people in a very simple and consistent way has been a real driver and vision for us at Element Longevity. And so we've been working with Dr. Cora here for a year as well. She's been helping us out with a number of things and really testing it out within her own practice. And so I'll let her speak for a few minutes on her successes.
Hi everyone. My name is Dr. Cora Wright. I'm a sports medicine chiropractor in Chicago. I work primarily with athletes, but not always. What ends up happening is that you take care of someone's junior high aged athlete, all of a sudden you've got mom and grandma and aunts and uncles and teachers, and it's wonderful. I really love what I do, and I am lucky to have a great practice with a multitude of patients. And what I've really loved about being able to recommend Element is that I'm not a functional medicine practitioner. However, I know the way that we all did, that we learned in school, that everything starts in the gut. So some of my patients come in with acute sports injuries, but a lot of them come in with long-standing issues that have inflammatory components, that have components to it that have to do with constipation, right? We all know someone in our practices who blew out their low back trying to go to the bathroom. So the nice thing about a product like this is that it helps you to be able to make changes within the microbiome without having to overhaul someone's diet, without having to give them a handful of supplements. My husband's a naturopathic doctor, and so the way that we look at things tends to be different in that he wants to go outside in layers of things, whereas I tend to want the quickest, simplest solution. And we found that we both really like this product, which is really cool that it shows that it can go from something simple for me where I had a patient who is a jujitsu master, and he kept hurting his low back over and over and over again. He'd been to other chiropractors. He's gone through physical therapy, had injections. No one who was doing musculoskeletal work with him talked to him about the fact that his Crohn's was pretty uncontrolled. So we had him start Element, and within 3 weeks, he called me and he was like, holy cow, I'm more regular. I'm no longer bloated. I feel more powerful. He's like, I've been doing this sport my whole life, and all of a sudden I feel more fluid in my movement patterns. Now, I like to think I'm good at my job, and yeah, we fixed his low back strain, but the big difference is that his GI tract was no longer on fire. Physiologically, his body is doing better. So as a physical medicine practitioner, my plan is always to try to help people feel better, function better, perform better. But that's hard to do if everything's on fire. And having a strong microbiome and digestion makes a really big difference. Targeting it with the prebiotics just is icing on the cake. Like the probiotic in and of itself is amazing. But at least here in the Midwest, getting people to change their diet is like next to impossible. There's a lot of meat and potatoes in Chicago. And so having the prebiotic already paired for the patient, and they can still eat all the cheese they want, makes an astronomical difference. So I've been really happy to learn about it, and I think you guys will be too.
Thanks, Dr. Cora. We all love cheese. And with that being said, you know, you're going to find that, and we're finding that there are symptoms that you may not associate with the gut microbiome and the GI tract. You know, and it doesn't mean that the gut microbiome isn't supporting those health initiatives. And so when you're thinking about patients that you could really support using this protocol, right, think outside the box. It's important because that's what we've had to do. And it's been really helpful in understanding that everyone has a gut microbiome. And on some level, it's just a modern world. We're not receiving the right nutrition as much as we should be to support, the gut microbiome. And so with this solution, with this, ability to support, your education as well as the solutions to help your patients, it's really important that we see this in simplicity. This is not something that we set out to make complex. This is something that we set out to make both safe and effective. And so with that being said, I want to thank you all for joining today. If you have a question, if you'd like to reach out, we'll leave a few minutes here after the recording for some questions and answers that anyone has. But here at the Element Longevity team, we're just super excited to be at the forefront of this industry and to bring not only solutions that can really help heal 1 million gut microbiomes, but help humans, because we all deserve to live a better quality of life. And we know, and it's what wakes us up in the morning, serving our patients and our customers, knowing that they're feeling better. Yeah, really appreciate the time. Thank you again for joining. And please email Darren at elementlongevity.com, and I'll stop the recording now and we can answer some questions.